Welcome to another edition of Sunday Homely. This Sunday, when we celebrate 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we are reflecting on the theme, God's mercy is for all. In the first reading, when we look at the prophet Isaiah, God challenged him in the time when his people had returned from exile and without hope, finding themselves merging with all kinds of foreign cultures. The message of God comes to Isaiah to remind them that He is a loving and faithful God, and thus He asks His people only three things in their life: to act justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with their God. It is when these people of Isaiah would return to the covenant love of God will they find that God, who is tender in love and compassion, is ever more merciful to them. In the Gospel reading, we find Jesus being confronted by the Canaanite woman to ask Him to help her to be rid of the evils that pervade her daughter's life. But the disciples who surround Him felt her to be more a nuisance and thus, out of pity, wanted to be rid of her. But Jesus would use this opportunity to rise above all forms of barriers and to show the tenderness and the mercy of His Father's love for all. He in fact tells her that He came for the people of Israel alone. But in her great faith, the woman retorted and said, "Lord, even the dogs of the house have a right to the scraps of the master's table." And thus showing her faithfulness to God and her love that surpasses all barriers, Jesus then reaches out to her and says, "Your faith has saved you." Today we as Catholics, we need to ask a very pertinent question in our life. As Catholics, do we too have barriers in our transcending for love for others? Do we find ourselves in the barriers of society such as racism, religious polarization, caste, economic status, and many other forms of barriers, even as skin color, cultural barriers? If we are Catholics and we are the followers of Christ, as Christ challenged His disciples of His time, He challenges us today. Do we have the faith and the strength and the courage to go beyond these barriers and to bring God's mercy, His compassion and love for all? Mercy means the one who has faith, the one who has genuine love, is able to reach out and change lives for others. God bless you. Have a pleasant week.